What's up, Glam Gals? Bienvenidos a mi canal. If you guys are new and you guys don't know me, my name is Janelle. I go by J Girl Beauty, and I also do makeup tutorials as well on my channel. And I did this look, and it's up on my channel as well. I wanted to make this video as like after the video I just released about telling my parents that I got molested by my uncle, because one of my aunts that I know of has been telling people things that aren't true and is lying about me because she hates me, because she thinks that I had a part in, I guess, my uncle cheating on her, which I didn't. I didn't know he was gonna cheat that night. We were all hanging out when I introduced him to my ex-husband's cousin. She had her fiance there with her, and when we introduced each other, it was me, your husband, your ex-husband, and my ex-husband cousin and her fiance. So if I had intentions to do what you say, tell everybody that I was doing, I wouldn't have introduced them like that. I would have introduced her by herself, you know, like. So that night we all went to the bar, the effing bar. We all were there. We had one drink. My ex-husband was pissed, so as soon as he found out I was there, he went to pick me up. She was supposed to leave with her fiance. Your ex-husband was supposed to go home. I didn't know anything was going on until he told me like a week after and told me that he had slept with her. So I know you're mad or you blame me, but come on. Like, that's not me. And the people that know me know I'm not like that. And if I have something to say or I have a problem with you, I'll say it to your face and we can squash it. I don't have to sit around and talk crap about anybody. And my dad always used to tell me, don't lie to me because you're just going to make it worse. Tell me the truth now and take care of it, then lie about it and be so much in trouble. So that's just my character. And if you guys don't know me or don't know that, then I don't know what to tell you. But I do know that you're opening your big ass fat gap mouth telling people lies, and you had told this lie to people that a girl that didn't know me, and then all of our family was there listening to you lie about this story, and that no one defended me or stuck up for me. But I just want to tell everybody that it's a lie. So I want to address that you told them that I got raped by 4 guys and your brother and your brother's house, and that the guy that got me pregnant, I gave my baby to my aunt and uncle, your brother and your sister-in-law. I just want to tell you, you're sick. You're disturbed. You have mental issues or you have a mental problem, because that never happened. I never got raped by 4 men. I only have 3 kids and 2 pregnancies. And my uncle almost raped me that night, but he didn't. He came back to finish, but he just molested me. He never raped me. Thank the good Lord to that. And the other reason why I want to speak about all this, and I've been speaking about this, because I want to try to leave the link down, girl, but she was getting molested since she was 5 years old. She was getting molested since she was 5 years old, and okay, so the story is her parents had gotten a divorce, and she had to go see her mom on the weekends, and she would stay with the grandma. The other day I did a makeup tutorial and it was not focusing good, and it was blurry, and it was blurring out my eyes, and I hope it's not doing that again. But anyways, so her parents got a divorce, and she was seeing, the dad, and then she would go see the mom, and she was staying with the grandparents. Well, the grandpa was raping her, or started molesting her when she was 5 years old, and as she grew older, he started raping her. And she never told anybody. She just stood quiet. She didn't know what to do. I guess she didn't know if she should say anything to anybody or not. So, she kept it a secret. She didn't say nothing to nobody. And he kept on, every time she would go to her mom's house, he kept raping her and raping her and raping her. And one day she told her grandma that she had stomach pain and she needed to go to the doctor. So she went to the grandma took her to the doctors, and they found out she was pregnant. And the doctor came back in, or the nurse, and told her, "You're pregnant." And she was like, "And you're close to giving birth." And the little girl just was in shock. And the nurse or doctor just looked at her like, what is this little girl doing being pregnant? I don't know how old she was. I think she was either 11 or 12, or maybe she was 15 at the time. I don't know. I don't really remember. But she was pretty young. And so they looked at each other like, what the heck? So she had to finally tell her secret and tell the doctor what had happened. So the police got there, they investigated her, they asked her who had been doing these things to her, who she was pregnant by, and she told them that it was her grandpa. So they locked him up. He went to jail, and they waited for a while because there was such a big span for her to have the baby and then take a DNA test. And when they took the DNA test, he was 99.9 the father. And her mom didn't believe her. Her grandma didn't believe her. They told her that he never did that, and that was not his child, that the results were wrong, and that it wasn't his, and he never did nothing to that little girl. To their daughter, her own daughter, I could just imagine what she went through, because what I went through, it was horrible. So I could just imagine what she went through, And, so for them not to believe her, she don't have a relationship with her mom. She doesn't have a relationship with her grandma either. She don't speak to none of them. So the guy that had raped her and had a baby with this girl, he ended up saying that wasn't true, that he wanted another DNA test. So they, I guess, saved up money or whatever they do while he was in prison, and he did another DNA test, and the DNA was 99.9. He was the father. He fathered that child. So he's still in prison, I believe, and you can hear on the video of the grandma and the mom saying that's not true. They're like, what do you mean? It's right here. There's proof. This is his child. And they're like, no, we don't believe it. We don't think it's right. We don't think the test's right. We don't believe that he would ever do anything like that to her. So yeah, that was breaking when I read about it, and I was just like, wow, And she ended up keeping the baby, and he's older now, and she said that she doesn't look at him, like that. She just knows that that's her son, and she loves him, no matter what happened, no matter who fathered that child, she loves him. And she's going to counseling and stuff, and her dad has supported her through the whole thing, and I think she lives with him. And it's a really nice story. And it's a really sad story at the same time, because for your own mother, I don't understand it. I can't fathom that. For your own mother not to believe you, and then especially to know that there's proof, that DNA proves that he is the dad. Come on, get it together. If you're that jacked up in the head, go get some help. Seriously, there's counseling. I don't know. Go fix your brain. I'm just kidding. But anyways, And that's why I'm sharing my story and what happened to me, because it ruined my life. And I couldn't talk to people, or I couldn't go to a counselor and talk to a counselor because they always wanted his name. After I would tell them the story, they always wanted me to tell them his name so they could have locked him up. And at that time, my parents told me, you know, you can't do that. You can't take him to court. You can't sue him or put him away, you know, because it was always about, oh, poor my sister or poor my aunt, you know. But what about poor Janelle? Whatever happened to poor me? The person that he almost took my virginity that night. And what if at 11 years old, or 1991, 92, I'm 11, and I would have gotten pregnant by him? Would they be thinking and saying the same thing they do now? My mom and my aunt back then? Oh, you provoked him to do what he did? Oh, so it was okay for him to take your virginity and get you pregnant. You know, so I talked to my husband about that the other night, and I'm like, what if he would have continued, went back in the room that night after I screamed and did that and I got pregnant? Would things be different? Or would my mom and aunt say the same thing, that I provoked him? You know, like, I just can't imagine that. Like, wow. I feel sorry for that girl, and you know, but I'm glad he's behind bars, you know. I just don't understand how parents are so stupid, naive, ignorant. Like, hello. Like, men are sick. Like, some men like little girls. Why? I don't know. He even had a wife to sleep with and have sex every night. So why did he do what he did to me? I don't know. I still question that sometimes. Like, what the flip, you know? So every time I would try to go talk to a counselor, they always wanted his name. So I couldn't really talk to anybody when I was young. So I just like bottled this up inside for the longest time. And it affected me. It tore me apart. I did things. I was ugly, you know. I was ruthless. I was a savage bee, you know. Like, I hurt people and I didn't care. You know, I would fight all the time. I had like domestic violence. It was horrible. Like, domestic violence. I was always in court, going to court for beating up this person, you know, beating up my ex-husband. It's horrible. I also used to hit my baby daddy, and at the time, I'm only 5'3", and I still am 5'3", but I was skinnier. I was like, weighed 110 pounds. I was wearing a 0, a 00, and a 1. And my baby daddy was 6 foot. He was tall, and he weighed about 215 pounds. And I used to get so mad and so angry, and I got him one time, and I grabbed his head and I slammed it on the toilet. And he never hit me, ever. He never laid a hand on me, except for one time. And it wasn't like really crazy or anything either. It was like at the end when we finally broke up, you know, because we were together for 7 years. We were on and off. I lived with him for a very long time. So, you know, even though we weren't together, we were still like together, but not like in a relationship where we were together, but we were like together, you know. I guess you could say a man with benefits or a boyfriend with benefits, but we weren't like in a relationship. I don't know how to explain it, but whatever. We were supposed to get married when I was young, you know. My parents did pressure us to getting married because God's way back then, you know, you need to be married. You can't just be having a baby out of wedlock. You gotta have that ring on your finger, you know. So yeah. So we started talking about it too, you know. we cared about each other. I can't even say I was in love. I didn't know nothing about that. I was 15 when I got pregnant, 16 when I had my daughter. So puppy love, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but I do know that he did treat me really good, and I wanted a family. I always wanted a family, you know. Like if I got married, I always wanted to have a family and have kids. So I was fine with getting married and stuff, and he treated me really good. You know, he never mistreated me. He was a gentleman. He was sweet, you know. He did things for my family. He would always go and pick up my sister from Servieta every weekend, you know. He was a really cool guy. He used to play with us. We used to buy Play-Doh, and we would play with Play-Doh with my sister because she was 6 years younger than me. And we'd make little eggs out of Play-Doh and make like little plates, and we'd make like little pans, and it was really cute. And so we told each other we were going to get married. So my dad was all ready for it, right? So my dad ended up renting a hall at the Moose Lodge. And I went my dress, and we were just like telling each other we were just going to go get married at the JP. And we're going to be with each other for the rest of our lives, right? And that's what he wanted, you know. He always told me this. But in the process and during our relationship, I used to hit him, you know. Punch here, punch there. We used to be fighting, and sometimes it was ridiculous. And after I would snap about it, I was just like, why? Why are you so ugly, Janelle? Why can't you just treat him good? I don't know. I just couldn't. And there was one time too, he bought me a ring, and the heart went that way and the other heart went this way, and I would say, you know, that was his heart, this was my heart. And we were fighting one day, and I ended up throwing the ring in the ditch, and I wanted to go back and find it so bad, but it was gone. So that never happened. I was ugly. I was a bitch, and I didn't care, you know, at the time. And I was ugly, ruthless, savage, fucking no heart, really no heart, cold-hearted bitch when I was growing up. It was horrible, 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 horrible. And so all of a sudden, my dad, everybody's getting ready, you know, we're all going to the JP. We were going to get married at the JP, and then we were going to have a big reception. So we're going to have, you know, the reception, and we're going to have a dance. So that's when my dad ended up renting the hall at the Moose Lodge. And so we ended up going to the JP. So his brother went, his mom went, I think, and my parents were there, my sisters were there, and I think one of his aunts went, and that was it. And so we go, and we're in the waiting room to be called, right? And he called me over to where he was, and he goes, I want to say something. He's like, I can't do this. I can't go through with this. He's like, I don't want to be married to someone that hits me, he said. I just can't do that. Because he's like, if I get married, I want to be married forever. And he's like, and I just don't want to have a relationship or have a marriage like this. He's like, so I can't marry you. I was like, dang, you know, wow, that really hurt me. And so my parents were hurt, you know, his brother was kind of hurt, and I was just like, you know, I don't blame him, you know, I don't blame him. Who would want to be with someone that hits you? You know, like I said in my other video, like, no one deserves to be hit. No man deserves a woman to lay their hands on them, and no man deserves that either, you know, vice versa.